So thank you for all for attending. This is a topic that we've heard a lot of feedback and people are talking a lot about, which is agents. So this session is specifically for you who are interested in what agents are, how can I build them in M365 Copilot, and how can I use them to really accelerate my productivity. So I'm David. I'm Chief AI Officer here at University of Miami. And I invited our partners at Microsoft and Alithia to deliver this training, but this isn't the only opportunity. So if you go to our website, ai.miami.edu, you'll see some links to more Copilot resources, and on there we will have a calendar of events. We had one for this week, but for the semester as well. So if you are interested in continuing your study and continuing to advance your skills in the use of this tool and other offerings that we have from Central IT, that's going to be your place to go and find that information. We also have a lot of documentation, FAQs, how-to guides. So without further ado, I'm going to hand things off to Anna, and she's going to tell you all about agents.
Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining Tailored AI, creating custom Copilot agents. And please, if you just walked in, signed in, those of you who are online, please also scan the QR code on the screen, and then we'll go ahead and continue the session. Welcome, everybody. During the session, if you're in person, feel free to raise your hand and ask your question. If you're online, I have my colleague, Marcella. You already see her on the chat answering questions, so we'll do our best to provide answers. Unfortunately, we have Dr. David here with us to provide official answers when they are questions related to university policies and procedures regarding AI. So my name is Anna, and I've been with Alithia since 2014. Alithia, like Dr. David said, it's a Microsoft partner, and we actually focus on trainings. We do trainings for how to use the software. So we'll be guiding you on how to use agents directly in AI Copilot. So welcome, everybody. If you just walked in, I'm going to go ahead and rewind a little bit here, and feel free to log in. I'm based in Cleveland, Ohio. I have my bachelor's degree in mathematics with a minor in statistics, fluent in Spanish, learned English by the time I was 13, and working on learning a little bit of French, also practicing a little bit of American Sign Language. And I've been working with Alithia since 2014. So back since people transferred from the 2007 Microsoft Office suite, when the ribbon was not a thing, all the way to now. So we have the online versions as well as the AI interface that we're going to be using and working. So we are going to go through the content here, know how to access Copilot Agent Builder, how to build an agent and add knowledge to your sources, and also how to test and refine your agent. So before I continue here, are you guys professors, staff, faculty? Who am I working with today? Staff. Do you guys have students? No students here? Yes, so you'll have students, you'll be working with students. All right, so we're going to be working with Copilot Agent, and do you guys all have your license for Copilot already? Have you guys requested your Copilot license if you're in this session? Wonderful, and you have it activated, or you're still waiting to see the Copilot tools? Yes. Did you actually get it though? Because there have been some instances when you opted in and then you never saw it. Perfect, good. And have you had a chance to use it and take advantage of it? A little bit, okay. So today's session is a little bit more advanced. We're not going to focus so much on just working with Copilot. We're actually going to take a look at working with the agents that are found here in Microsoft Copilot. So now, instead of seeing the waffle icon, you're going to see the navigation pane through your landing page for Office 365. So you guys have experienced this change maybe already or not yet. So this is where we are with Microsoft homepage landing page as we begin here. Right? And you guys are going to be able to follow along and come in if you guys are logged in. So thank you for joining. So Copilot is your homepage here for managing, creating, customizing your agents. It is also going to give you access to your work tab and your work web tab. So that's what we have when you know you already have the license. And then over here at the right-hand side, you're going to see the logo for the enterprise data protection. So you may have been wondering, is it safe to use Copilot? Is it safe to upload student information? It is a hospital integrated university. What about the HIPAA laws and such? So if you hover over the shield here, you'll notice that yes, you're going to be working with your data being protected. Copilot is not going to take your information and learn from you and such. And actually, you'll have access to the university policies and resources on the page where you signed up for Copilot, where you'll see the FAQs. We'll share those links through the chat later on as well. Now, you're here for agents, and then I go over into the navigation pane for Microsoft Copilot homepage, and now I'll see agents. Does anybody want to give me an idea what they think an agent is? Like you're in this session, you want to create one. That is the name of the class, but you're here, so why do you want to create one? What, like you're compelled to create one?
So, I know that some of the agents, some tasks, like generally, but I would like an agent to automate some. So I don't have to phone. Don't know right now. That's what an agent would do.
That's what the end goal of the agent is. Actually, I'm not confirming that right now. Time out. I did not confirm what you just said. You wanted to complete tasks. Right. Okay. So we're going to actually take a different look at different apps. That's a different app feature. Right. So any other ideas, any other inputs of what you think an agent is? Yes, it is chat. It is, you're going to feed it with prompts and you're going to get bad feedback. So at this point, we're working with knowledge. We're working with what would be a knowledge base. It has the data source that we're going to be creating, whether it's files from your SharePoint sites or files that you've uploaded into the agent. And then we're going to go ahead and use all of those files to ask questions so that we can have that information back to us. Yeah, like the brain with all the information, like your know-it-all cousin, and then you just go ask them, and then depending on the question that you ask them, the question is going to be answered for you. Because yes, I remember being annoyed with my sibling. They would constantly ask me all the questions. I'm like, you have the information right in front of you. Go look it up. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to be creating knowledge bases or information or the brain of the know-it-all, and then having it provide answers to us. So, sir, what was your name? Hassan. So Hassan mentioned he wanted to have the agent do steps and perform actions. If I do this, then perform this. If these criteria are met, then perform that. When we're thinking about that, we're actually looking at a different application. It is within the Microsoft universe. It is known mostly as the Power Apps, specifically the flow and the workflow information. So it is, I would hope you stay in the session to learn about working with the agents, but when it comes about having things automated or having things triggered or things processing, we're looking at a different feature within the Microsoft universe. So if I ask again, what is an agent? Can everybody tell me?
I think that not successful, but like it's a co-pilot, but it's like you can put guardrails around it and say just this is your domain, look at this data, don't go out there in the world if that's what you want. That's what I want.
Exactly. So yes, we do have the default standard agents, the analyst agent that Microsoft created for us, and then the researcher agent. And this hosts a lot of information. And so when it comes down to these two specific agents, the number of requests that you can make it per month is 25. The ones that we make ourselves, it's not limited to 25 prompts. And then within the prompt, we can have multiple queries because we're going to be engaging and detailing and finalizing the question or the result that we want to achieve, correct? So we have 25 initial prompts between the two of them here, the analyst and the researcher agent. And then we are going to be working with creating our very own agent, which can be used to provide information or answer questions, either for us or for our students. So they are agents, they are task-oriented assistants, which are going to be built directly with Copilot. They are specifically created. You can customize them and create them with very specific roles so that you can generate the knowledge of that Copilot chat. So your very own specific knowledgeable buddy about that specific information. So Copilot already has here agents. Like I mentioned, we have the researcher agent, and then we also have the analyst agent. When we think of researching and researcher agent, we're thinking of doing deep search knowledge. We are at a university. We're not at the Facebook homepage, right? We know that we have to verify our sources. We know that we have to confirm that they are reliable sources and they have been performed by proper studies. Whereas if we just go on the internet and say, I did my research. No, you didn't. You went and looked it up online. Doing research as a medical facility, we know that there's trials, and then there's processes, and then we have the data to collect the information. So when we're working with the researcher agent, we're looking at a lot of complex and multi-step research prompts. So let's go ahead and ask researcher, for example, to give me an up-to-date overview of ethics and AI and the usage, along with the latest data. I am requesting multiple things here. Focus on using AI to make decisions. For example, do I want to go with this monitor, or would purchasing a different monitor will be best for me? Because the data is there. It has the risk list tool, the purchasing sales and everything in there. So I just want to know that I want to make the best decision, and I'm going to utilize AI to do this. Now, I'm not going to press enter for this simply because when you go into the library, you have a lot of information. So personally, I go to the librarian and then wait for them to give me the answer. But the librarian takes me through the process of finding the right books, and that is not done in a blink of an eye. So I'm actually going to play a video for you in here. After we made the request, look at the number of outputs. It is taking and verifying the resources that it's giving us, and it's going to take time. So this is because this particular agent does have a lot of information, and it is going to be, you don't have to create this agent, essentially. This one already exists, and you can share the results with other individuals, or you can go ahead and view less results, or you can stop it at any point. But as we're looking at the outputs or the resources that it's providing for us, it is giving us AI-focused data, listing the key points, and it's going through a lot of information to work with the output. So when you ask something to researcher or analyst, just be patient. It's going to take time with the output. Feel free to turn on your laundry, get a cup of coffee, because I know some of us work from home. So with the researcher agent, like I said, the details of the prompt, the output of the quality is also going to vary on you as the end user based on the request that you make. So think of the 5 W's when you are asking Copilot researcher agent to do something. What do I want? What is the output and how do I want the output to be given to me? Why do I need this? Who is going to be involved? And how many items do I want? So I'm going to go back to the chat here. What happened? So give me an up-to-date overview of the ethics of AI usage and AI research. That's what I asked in the prompt. And I also go ahead and asked it to focus on using AI to make decisions. So when I play the video, you saw all of the sources that it gave us. Had I just asked for, give me an update on the overview of ethics on AI usage, the results would have been drastically different and probably not as niche as I was looking for them to be. I'm going to drink a little bit of water. For those online, don't forget you can feel free to use the chat or the Q&A to send questions here. And then we'll go ahead and continue with the topic. Any questions so far from anyone? Yes.
So I'm still not clear on the one point about using flow or schedule or condition. But I'm still not clear. Do agents have more autonomy than the regular Copilot? Can it make decisions, or what is the difference? Because if it's just a matter of narrowing scope, is that all an agent is about? Or can it also have more autonomy than just me working with Copilot and have it prompted about every action that it has? That's what I'm trying to.
Go ahead, David.
So I think I probably have a general definition of what an agent is that might be illustrative, and what we're talking about today is the specific flavor of those agents. So it'll give you a sense of like, what we're talking about and why it applies. So an agent is really just a brain, that's the LLM part, and a set of tools. So tools can be in general for agents. They can be, let me look up a website, let me read from a document. Sometimes it can take actions like call APIs or trigger other things. But really just think about it as a brain and a set of tools, and you think, okay, well, that's not descriptive enough. So what does it actually do? So when someone asks that agent, which is just those 2 groups of things, can you do X, Y, or Z? The agent thinks for a little bit. To accomplish this task that I've been asked to do, what tool should I use? So this person asked me about policy or something like that. Well, it turns out I have a tool that links to this policy, so I'm going to go look up the policy to answer that question. Or it might ask, what's the difference between my policy that is in this document and the policy that exists on a different place, on a website or something? So you're like, okay, I have a tool to look up that policy and a tool to look up that website. So in order to answer that, I'm going to look up both spots to formulate my response to that question. So that's generally what an agent is. Now, your question is, do agents have more autonomy? The term is autonomous agents. The agents we're talking about today in M365 Copilot are not autonomous agents. They can't just run in the background and complete a task for you. I mean, you probably imagine it. Hey, can I just start pulling up and answer all my Teams chats? Not with it. But what we can do is make sure that the agents that we define in M365 have that specific instruction. This is your brain, this is your role to do X, Y, Z, and it has the right tools to narrowly answer and respond to questions according to the guidance and the tools that you provide to it. So I hope that helps. And in the future, if you are interested in exploring use cases for autonomous agents, there are other platforms or other tools that we can get to and we can talk about, but we can collaborate on use cases and things like that. Hope that helps.
Absolutely. Thank you, Hassam, and thank you, David. Yes.
And I would like to build an agent. So therefore, the persons can request you say you have questions that reference at URL, will that be spoken about in this training here of how,
Yes.
do I have to build in those questions, or can the agent look at the document and then track questions, common questions?
Yes. Yes. So what I'll do here, we're actually going to create an agent, and we'll go ahead and grab this document, or a different document that I have access to, and we'll explain the basics of where do these documents need to live in order for the agents to access them, and then who is going to be accessing the agents, and do they have access to the original source to provide the answers to the agent as well. So you can't just make a cake if you don't have all the ingredients. Kind of like, yeah, I didn't have to be the baker. That was a bad analogy. Ignore me, actually. So yes, you need you need access to all the tools before you can use be the end user at the end agent. However, the university is working on packages to make the agents available to, say, perhaps your students or your people outside of the end users of the Copilot licenses. So yes, thank you for asking that question. So now that we've got a better understanding of the agents, we have the brain with the knowledge, and we're focusing on gathering the information and asking the questions that we have fed or built with the agents here. So we have here the agents navigation, and then we see the option to view all the agents. So we have the ones that I have created, the ones that the people in my organization have shared with me, and then the default ones for the analyst and the researcher agents. Then we have additional agents that are built by Microsoft. So for example, your prompt coach, when I go ahead and create an agent, I could very well go ahead and ask the prompt coach agent to help me edit my prompt, because remember I told you when you're asking a request in AI, think of what you want, how you want it, and why you want this to be done, or what is the information that you're gathering. The better your question, the better your results, your answers. Your writing coach providing feedback to your writing style, your career coach, learning coach, and such. So each of these agents are going to be accessible to you if you already have access to agents within Microsoft Copilot. So feel free to click on it and simply open it and play around with the ones that are specific. So for example, also the one for writing coach. This is your assistant to provide detailed answers when it comes to your writing feedback. I was the worst writing person, so like I was always at the writing center. Had I had this back in the day, I could have just fed my paper here, edit it, fix the punctuation and such. But now I relied on my college students, classmates, to provide feedback. But to answer the question here, let's go ahead and take a create an agent location. And fortunately for us, none of us, or not many of us, are app builders, because how many of you guys have ever built an app? Nope. And you have, awesome, for iOS app, cool. The only coding experience I have is back with Python, back when I was in college, some SAS code, and then maybe MySpace coding to code the layout on my webpage, right? So here, fortunately for us, we don't have to know how to use code to create the agents that we're going to be making, because I seriously just ran away from CC+ classes. Like, I didn't want to do much with code, but fortunately for us, now we just describe the agent that we want to create, and then we go over to the configure tab, and then we're going to try it. These are agents that we are going to be able to build ourselves with information within our Office 365 tools. So timeout. Where are you guys storing your files? Office 365 OneDrive, SharePoint, Teams. I know there are other resources within the university. Box. OneDrive for Business is Microsoft. Box, okay. All right. OneDrive for Business. Google Drive as well. All right. So we are working with different resources. But if we take a look at Copilot, M365, if we take a look at the address bar up here, what are we working with? With Microsoft, right? So it is going to take a look at your files being stored in your Microsoft locations. OneDrive for Business, SharePoint document libraries, Microsoft Teams document libraries, which are essentially SharePoint document libraries. So where is your data coming from? Yes, we're going to be able to feed it external data. I don't want to discourage you, but I do want to let you know that if we're going to be working with our Microsoft tools, we are working in Microsoft Copilot, which is working with your files in the Microsoft universe. We can still upload files from Box. We can still upload files from Google, but then people also ask, what about the files on my computer? If your files are synchronized to your OneDrive for Business, then we can work with your files from your computer without having to upload them. But if they're just on your computer, then we'll have to upload them and work with that as well. All right, So for example here, I can go ahead and not need to know how to use code. It's going to use already existing AI assistants to actually integrate it with my Microsoft Office 365, and as well as other tools and external tools to have the seamless experience. So let's go ahead and build an agent. First of all, we can come in here and describe it here. So once we start configuring it, we're going to take a look at the fact that it is user-friendly as well. So let's go ahead and just be aware, none of us need to know code. None of us need to know how to edit it. However, if you're interested, you could potentially go into the coding section of things and take a look at the code. Maybe you want to pick it up and see, this was created. I didn't have to build it from scratch, but this is what the background of things looks like. So excuse me. So we're working here, as you see, in a different app, which is already within Microsoft Copilot. So we don't have the app launcher anymore, but we know that we're working in Microsoft 365 Copilot. And then when we're building the agent, we're actually here in Copilot Studio. And we're looking at my agents and we're creating a new agent. So that's where we're going to be to create our agent here. So AI here is going to work and respond as if you're having a conversation with a bot. It's going to provide visual, no code interface, and it's going to allow us to perform and answer questions or guide users through a process. Because sometimes we just want to know the step-by-steps on how to do this. So sometimes Copilot or even the agent that you create will give people the step-by-steps instructions on how to do something rather than actually creating it for them. Because your students are here to learn, you want them to know how to build it rather than giving them the built process, finished product, right? So that's what we're working with. We are asking and working with Copilot to either get answers or get instructions in this particular case. So we are going to use here the description on how to create an agent, or you can go ahead and simply configure it. And here you'll have the details. Notice that you'll have the option to create your picture. If you want to upload a picture from your drive, you can change the color of the agent. I prefer purple, so I'll go ahead and change it over. It is customizable, as you can see here. Remove the accent color, and that's just for the logo. Or I believe here, I was working yesterday, so I know it works. You'll be able to upload an icon if you already have the icon for your agent that you're trying to work. So to answer your question, if you create it, we can come back and configure it and change things. Yes, question? No? Okay. So we do that, we change the color, we name it as well. So we'll go ahead, and in this case, going with your example, I want to have people access this information from this document. I'm just going to go ahead and tell it here to do Copilot onboarding assistant, for example. And at the university. So we do have a 30-character limit, and then you give it a description. So what is the agent going to do? I want to feed information to my new students when they have requests for me. So I'll go ahead and write the description here. And now, as I come down and continue, what are the instructions for my agent? What do I want my agent to do essentially? I want it to manage the requests from my new students, for example, because I'm going to give it the sources to do that. And I want it to give information to the students about classes. And I also wanted to generate schedules, for example. So what I'm going to do here is grab the instructions of what my agent is going to do. It's going to pull from the sources that I'm going to give it, which is known as knowledge. So the knowledge is what it's going to build on to provide the answers to your prompts that are going to be given here. And in here, we can do anything by simply typing in a URL or uploading a file. Notice here that it is telling us you can enter the URLs, upload files, and use Microsoft SharePoint, Microsoft Teams, and Microsoft emails. So it is telling us from the knowledge base that our files are going to be able to be pulled directly from those locations. Otherwise, if they're in your box or if they're locally in your computer, we can simply go ahead and use the upload from the device icon. If your box files are here, you'll just go ahead and select them from the navigation pane and then select them and click open, and it's uploading the file, in this case, the 13-page document, for example, that you would have been using. Question? No? Okay. So I can also go ahead and use a simple URL. And in this case, for this example, I'm going to be using the University of Miami's homepage. And it tells me that it's a suggested URL. I select it, and never did I click on save or anything. It's just taking a look at my sources or my knowledge here, letting me know that it's working with websites that I gave it and the file that I uploaded. Now, I could also, because it's integrated with Office 365, simply start typing in the name of the file that I want to reference. So if it's in my SharePoint, my OneDrive, or my Microsoft Teams, notice that it gives me everything that I have access to use, my files, my sites, or even chats. So if I am already part of the chat and we're having these conversations with our colleagues and we're providing additional conversations in those chats, additional information through those chats, then the bot is going to be able to pull from that knowledge base. Because how many times do people send a chat and then there's information about their pet, information about their vacation, and so forth, and then you miss the point of the conversation, which is work related. So we can use the chats within Copilot Studio to gather that exact data that we're looking for, rather than having to rely on the extra details that are added in there. So I'll go ahead, and like I said, because it's working with my Office 365 files, I could simply come in here and start typing the name of the document that I wanted to use. And give me 1 second here. Cancel. Here it is. And it's very sensitive to your spelling here. If you don't find it, even though it is in the cloud, notice that we're not restricted just to the upload icon. We also have the cloud icon, which gives us the same window that we see when we go into Microsoft OneDrive. It gives us access to our files, and then it gives us access to our SharePoint document libraries, in which we have been using recently and not long ago. So I'll go ahead and click on my icon here to see the people on the files, so that I don't have to go hunting for it. These are the people that I frequent with and engage with on a regular basis, and I would go ahead and simply find the document by searching and selecting it as well. So at this point, we have given people access to a public website, so we don't necessarily need to give people access to that website unless it's a restricted website and people don't have access to it. Also, the document, I chose to upload it. That way I don't have to fidget with the permissions, whether it's to my OneDrive or to the SharePoint source. Because if I invite you to my house, can you really go into my bedroom and go through my things? Yes, you can. I'm not going to stop you. But would you really do that? No. So kind of thing. Just because you have the address doesn't mean that you have permissions to view the content in there, right? So we have the sources here. And now, as we keep going, somebody asked about, these are the kind of questions that I want to ask. And these are the prompts that I want my students to use in here. So we have some suggested prompts and we have some capabilities here as well. Yes.
From my experience today, playing with it again now, like it doesn't really tell you, because maybe some of Microsoft could be here.
Yeah, we have Microsoft people and we have David here.
You know, for an Excel file, are there limits, how much data this agent can handle by uploading an Excel file? With my experience today, I have like a maybe not very big, 3 megabyte file, and it seems to be just completely ignoring a large percentage of the data. I don't know, maybe it's because it's on multiple worksheets is having an issue. I mean, this is where
you're hitting the roadblock. Yes, but you have an answer.
Super briefly, it's a great question. We do know what the limit is. We don't publish that intentionally because people try and break the service. I would encourage you to try it out, right? Give it a larger and larger file. I think you'll be surprised by the number of rows
I don't
and
think 3
limits.
megabytes is very big.
Fair, and I'd want to sit down and have, one-on-one fair understand your use case a little bit more. Obviously, we're going to talk a lot about prompt engineering. Are there ways in which we can be more specific and ask what we're looking for? Are there ways that we can clean the data, right? Garbage data in, garbage data out. So if there's ways that we can better understand the structure and the taxonomy of that specific use case. But there are others where it might make sense for us to go in a different direction, right? There are other tools that we can use that allow us to perform generative AI-like activities. For example, you can, within Copilot in Excel, ask using natural language to draft Python script that then creates analysis on top of your large data sets. It might not make sense to do that within the grounded chat in the web browser. It might make more sense to do that within Excel. So I'm sure whatever you're doing, we can figure out the best way to approach that problem in Copilot. Or perhaps
I can talk later, but I mean, my experience so far in the regular, just doing your chat, it has no issue. But trying to build an agent that is giving you just this file, has issues. So we can talk about that.
Yeah, that's a 300 level class. We're combining
Yes.
physical data, right, words versus numerical data. That's it.
I had a similar, a little bit more advanced question in the sense that, so you're right now configuring an existing agent and you're sort of fine tuning it with your knowledge of the thing that you're interested in?
I'm actually creating one with the sources, but yes.
Go like analog Copilot, it doesn't matter whichever way. But when you start creating an agent where you have a list of topics, so you start wanting to trigger conversations and then you can build a flow, that level of sort of programming it, if you will, I've noticed that there's a lot of glitches and we don't have, or at least I don't have the sources. Like I'm going through YouTube and a whole bunch of other sources trying to figure out how to fix at the activity level or the topic level or the more advanced build function. So I don't know. I mean, this may not be the cost burden and that's fine, but I don't know what, if any, resources Microsoft has already created for people who want that level, more advanced level.
Okay.
Like N8N and other agents are a little bit more intuitive than Copilot. So I think with Copilot for the nuances, I'm going to at least do something to figure out.
Yes.
But you just told me it was very important.
No, well, okay, so yes, hi, my name's Andy, I'm part of the Microsoft team. And yes, we like to say that what you're seeing here, Copilot Chat Builder Agent, is the level 100.
Yes, absolutely.
And called simple retrieval. We retrieve information files quickly. That's what this agent from websites for. They're dealing with complex Excel files. That's what we recommend. That's really going to be the place to put in those highly detailed. I have built a simple agent where I had just a couple data and the agent came back very quickly. It sounds like you have a superpowered job at it. And then to your point about if you're looking to build the next level of agents, which require automation flows, that is a different course and a different approach. But here we try to center on what are some of the they have with documents and how could a simple retrieval agent.
But is it possible to provide resources for us? It doesn't have to be in a class, but to provide that resource so we can go learn on our own. Because really the free available resources that I see on YouTube or anywhere else that I kind of research doesn't hit it. They're all stuck at the 101 level. And I need that 300 level.
And the great thing is we have your IT leadership in the room and the rest of the Microsoft team. So with this is great feedback for us that we'll definitely document and we'll discuss also the part twos or ways that we can provide subsequent training with it. Thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you, Adina, and thank you. Yes, absolutely. Glad to hear that people are actually already taking the initiative of creating them and hitting the next level of help needed. So with her question, we were taking a look at having created or providing the resources, but now let's go ahead and take a look at providing some prompts, because if you've already used Copilot, when you type in something, there's a bottom that says suggested prompts. Tell me about my day, or summarize this information, or summarize the document. So let's go ahead and tell it here to simply give it some prompts. For example, I want my students to be able to come in here and ask, what majors does the university offer? So I'll go ahead and provide them. Notice that I'm the one who has to make them so that they are available for the prompts later on. So when does X event happen? And then I'm also going to be asking, for example, contact, who can I ask about registration? So these are some basic questions, basic prompts that I'm creating with my agent so that when my students come to use it, they kind of get an idea of why they're going to be using this agent. Oh, so this is what this agent is for. This is the kind of information that this agent is going to be providing to me. You can also take a look at viewing the suggested prompts because it is analyzing your data and it's taking a look at that. So you could click there and add additional suggested prompts if you want to. So we are here in the configuring tab. We can go back over to the describing tab and we can go ahead and also try our agent out. Notice that we have the prompts that we created already. When you see Copilot, we can also take a look at the agent that we have configured. And at the top right here is also the new chat option. So I'll go ahead and ask, who can I ask about registration? And remember, the information that I gave it is under configuration, which was the university's website. And I also uploaded a calendar of events in a Word document. So I am trying out the agent that I have built myself, and it is the Copilot onboarding assistant. It is processing the simple request, and it went through the website. So I don't have to be the one to click around. I don't have to go ahead and search in the right field. And my favorite thing about this is that it gives me the resource that it's pulling the data from, which is essentially the knowledge base that I gave it. So when I click on that resource, in this case, it takes me not only to the university's website, but it takes me directly to the admissions website for undergraduate students and the index. And it says contact us. So it did give us the phone number, the email, and the address, which is directly already information that's available there. If I go back to Copilot, when I take a look at the output that it provides, the Office of Undergraduate Admission. So this is information that it's getting from the knowledge base that it's giving me. And according to the website, it gives me the information here that I didn't necessarily ask. It goes above and beyond your initial request, for example, because our initial request, who can I ask about registration? I didn't tell it what I was going to ask about registration, but it does tell me that the last day for registration is August 27th. So that is because that information, it's already in the knowledge base that I provided to it. And then, as with everything, you can tell the agent, yes, I like it, or no, I don't like this. And it'll let you know to create additional feedback and to work on your agent as such. So when I go back over to the configure tab, I can see the fact that, yes, it had my suggested prompts. I can change the order if I wanted to and work with this. So now here, as I'm looking at my data, my knowledge base that I created and that I've given it, there is this switch here, prioritize the knowledge sources that I added for the agent based on the queries. So yes, this is what I want you to use when you're providing the answers that are being asked within this agent. So I'll go ahead and create my agent, keep this window open. It is going to take a time. It's time creating this agent because here it is, the option that you need to work on it. Now, it's your agent. You're the one who creates it. And notice here that the link only works for you. So if you take a look at this and just go to agent right away, you missed important details when you're wondering who will have access to my agent. It doesn't work for these people. They have access to the resources. But as of right now, if I were to copy the link to the agent, the settings are enabled so that it's only working for me. But the idea for me to create this agent was so that my colleagues, my peers, or my students were able to access that information, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at the sharing settings. And aha, this is where you're going to change the permissions of the link. Anyone in the organization, that means anyone who will have access to Copilot within the organization, by the way, specific users in the organization. So then you have to come in here and start typing their names. So if I type in Alex, for example, it pulls from the company address book and it's going to work for them specifically only. I'm going to go ahead and change it over to anyone in my organization. That way, if they have Copilot and they also have access to the agent, if they have Copilot within the organization, then they'll be able to come in here and use the agent. So I'll go ahead and copy my address, copy the link, and save it. And it's saving the settings. Now my agent tells me that anyone in the organization can start using this. And this is the link that it's going to work. I'll go ahead and close it. And notice that I do have options to update. So that link can be accessed by other users. So let me go ahead and change profiles here. Control V. This is the link to the agent with another user. This is actually my profile here. And let's be patient. And we couldn't find this app. Let's be realistic. I just built the app. So it's possible that it's not even out on the shelves yet, and it's taking the time to actually process and have it be made available to other users. So what I'm going to do is take a moment and go back to another one that I had built earlier. And let's go ahead and take a look at here and share this one and such. But actually, give me one moment, and we're going to take a look at the fact that you're going to be able to work with these agents. Your agents are then going to show on the navigation pane. The ones that you have created are yours for you to work with or share. So clicking on the ellipsis here, edit, share, or uninstall. So we'll go ahead over to the edit option. And then you can go back and change the resources, whether it's the knowledge base for the website that you're provided, or if you're providing the new academic calendar, for example. So here, let me see here. Let me take a look at the share here to make sure that I'm sharing the one that I need. Save it and copy that. So you've seen me go through the sharing options on the navigation pane so that the rest of the people who will have access to it. Now, let's take a look at an agent that was created earlier and make sure that the end users will have access to it as well. And it looks like it hasn't been done recently enough. So unfortunately, it's not working there either. So we may experience these hiccups when we first build it. It's about time. We did look at the right settings, and then the university is also going to be looking at making sure that the people, because in this case, it says upgrade to Copilot, notice that they're not going to have access to it. Yes. Yes.
Do we have access? That we could, if agents have been created by others, that possibly we could, take, copy, modify. And my other question is, once somebody is able to build an agent, how do you know behind the scenes that the that people are hitting it, or if you built it and no one's using it? How do you know that, similar to when you say, okay, how many people are, I didn't know that.
So there are options to take a look at that. I believe that is in a more advanced setting, the Copilot Studio, or can you do that right here within the Copilot Lite? Analytics tab, yes. Yeah.
Question two, can you look at analytics? So
Yes. Yeah, it takes us to the configuring.
I think this is sort of these.
Oh, like a list of your SharePoint items. It's not showing the people or the number of queries that have been used and such.
M365 Copilot is designed for personal one. So in order for us to have access, have to manually back that share link. So now behind the scenes is a tool called Copilot, which helps manage all the things that are built. I believe in honest, Copilot Studio is being managed centrally, so all of that tree on how frequent that is, that's all centrally managed and intentionally controlled by a under things.
yeah, so I think that's really good. And whoever is voting the feedback from this, we should actually agree on our website, ai.miami.edu, a page, a library of the greatest hits of agents. You could also potentially do prompts there, but where users like yourself have created really great personal productivity agents or really great agents, focus on a particular project, and if the users want to share that with the broader community, they can put that on that page as a library along with the description of what it does And as long as it's shared with the whole organization, all they have to do is put the link to the Copilot. So there's nothing like that right now. There's no sort of like out of the box discoverability capability. So, and as we mentioned before, that's by design. Like we don't want people to see what other people are authoring and what they choose to. But I think it's a really good idea for us to add that.
Yes, thank you.
Another thing I wanted to mention is that there are ways to build an agent using templates. So this is another thing, David, that if there's certain templates or formats that are best practices that for an input creation of an agent, there should have been a drop down. Template. You see, if you go back to the start, exactly, do all templates, exactly. Exactly. So when you click those agents, it will open up those existing agents, but also allow you to see the instruction how that agent will go. So the same concept applies to the first template stage. That you could use those as starters, but another extension of the idea of that there's some best practices for customers people to save there. You could use the skeleton of the building.
So earlier I showed you when we tried to access the agent that was shared by another user to somebody who does not necessarily have Copilot, and we kept seeing it's not loading or it doesn't work. And that's because they don't have Copilot. But now, if you do share it with somebody who has access to Copilot, that share link for everyone to access, when I bring it over, it will prompt you to add it to the navigation pane and have it be available to you. So it was shared with you, therefore you can add it to your navigation pane and use it. Notice here that it was created by the other user, even though Sam Daniels over here.
Good question. So your agents will always live right here on this page.
I'm sorry?
The agent will always live on this.
Yes, and the Microsoft 365 agent gallery. And you'll see here my agents or all agents, and then you'll also see your agents here, the ones that you have built yourself and the ones that have been shared with you.
Findable here. Question,
Oh.
should I find
Put
them
it on
somewhere
a home page. That's like a home page.
Yeah, so this is like the homepage, but maybe I'll connect the dots for a question I thought you were asking, but you weren't. So sorry about that. You can find agents in the other apps. So you can use an agent that you author here in, say, Microsoft Word.
Right, 'cause my question was more so like, if we have a web page and we want to make it visible to someone without the link. They can click, not specifically a link, but does it integrate like in a web page format?
You could export, yeah.
With this license, no. And that's the thing we mentioned is managed by central IT. So we can talk more about that if you have use cases that you want to launch on a web page and make more broadly available. And the reason for that is not only because things go viral, but because the world is full of trolls, and every time a question is asked, it hits against our quota and our budget. So if for some reason, someone wanted to just dox or DDoS our agents, all of a sudden we're going to rack up really big spending. So that's why it has to be managed centrally. But if you'd like to discuss, use cases that you have, happy to talk about that.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for your excellent questions. And so, yes, you'll be able to also use the Copilot Analyst agent. So now you have been able to access the Copilot Agent Builder. Hopefully you have shifted your expectations as needed. And then build an agent and add the knowledge sources. We can test and refine the agent by going back into your agent and editing it and then sharing it. And then the university will work with you if you need to share it externally to a website. But in the meantime, the agents that you create are available to your colleagues, your students that are currently accessing Copilot. So if you haven't signed up for Copilot, feel free to scan the QR code and view the setup and the sign up for it, as well as the option to view the FAQs and all the resources and additional processes that the university is going to be doing. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Don't drop it. Okay, I'll join the other. We have Q&A. Right, so I'll start that one. Oh yes, we have office hours, so please stay, whether your questions are regarding agents or if you just want some help using Copilot for your teams, Copilot for your email and such. So please stay along, and we have a whole team to help you with your questions.